when we talk about ourselves, we're usually speaking about our egos and what we call the false self, the part of us that believes that who we are is all the things that we accomplish and all of our reputations and all of the stuff we accumulate and so on. That becomes our way of identifying ourselves. And we, in the process of identifying ourselves as these ego-directed or ego-dominated people, we forget that who we really are is a piece of the divine, a piece of God, a piece of the source. Right. The source is that which allows all things to materialize from the non-being into being, or from spirit into form, however you want to say it. So that when we connect to that higher place within ourselves and we get our ego out of the picture, that's what I'm speaking about. It's when I say we are, that there's something that we're all connected to, that everything in the universe is connected to, every single person is connected to, we have many names for it, but the opening line of the Tao Te Ching says the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. The Tao, T-A-O, is a Chinese word for the Great Way, but it's just another word for God, or soul, or spirit, or divine mind, or whatever. And putting a name on it or a label on it is almost keeps it from working for ourselves in our lives. When we begin to recognize that fundamental truth that we're not here as human beings having a spiritual experience, but it's the other way around, right. That we're all spiritual beings, infinite spiritual, invisible beings. That's who we are, disguised as this body and the stuff that we want to attract into our lives. And the problem with so many people in manifestation is that they use this word want, which is a word that I used to use a lot too, and I don't any longer, because you can't want and have at the same time. Right. If you want it, it means you don't have it. If you have it, it means you don't have to want for it, right? So that every time we start putting our focus on what we want, we put our focus on what's missing, on something being missing in our life. And when our mind, when our true essence, our spirit or whatever is focused on what's missing, or then the universe, then we align with what you call it, the law of attraction, whatever you call it. You align with an energy that says here's some more stuff that's missing, and because you keep focusing on what's not here. And that's why, I speak from the perspective of we do not attract into our life what we want. We attract what we are. It's only when we are aligned with this source. And aligning with source means, it means living from a place of love. It means living from a place of reverence for all of life. It means living from a place of offering and giving, of wanting for someone else more. And that's the focus of my show. I've been doing this show almost 5 years now. And in these 5 years, all of the talks, the questions that I take on the air are about helping people to put their focus on wanting for somebody else more than you want it for yourself. Being in a spirit of giving, of offering, of loving. Trying to think like, as Einstein called it, trying to think like God thinks. And how does God think? God thinks like I always hold my hands up when I do this and say, if these are the hands of God, what does God do with his hands? All God does with his hands is give and offer and asks nothing back in return. And so manifesting is really not about putting your attention on. I think that was a lot of the misinterpretation of The Secret. That somehow if I just put my thoughts and put a wish board out there and put a new Mercedes on it, that it's going to show up in my driveway. Right. And I think there's sort of a greedy assumption in there that my happiness or what I want is dependent upon stuff arriving in my life. But what I have found is that when I put my attention on just offering and serving and giving and loving and revering life and serving others and getting my focus off of myself, then I'm aligned with Source. And when you contemplate like God contemplates, you gain the same power as God, and everything that you need begins to show up for you in almost an automatic way, because that's where you're aligned. That's how I started out the show today, knowing that I have a book to write, knowing that I get excited about this, knowing that I have a lot to learn before I sit down to write all of that. And it's like, and then just watching how the right materials show up and the right events show up and the right people show up. I don't do it through the process of visualizing, financial prosperity showing up into my life. My focus is always on, I myself am prosperous, and I am content, and I am fulfilled, and I am happy, and I want to offer this, I want to share this with as many people as I possibly can. If I feel that something is missing in my life, or something, that somebody isn't cooperating with me the way I would like them to, things aren't showing up the way I want them to show up, I find that if I take the focus off of trying to attract that into my life and put it on, how can I serve? How may I serve? How can I offer this to someone else? Then when I do that, then I'm thinking and I'm acting like God thinks, or like Spirit thinks, or what they call Source thinks. And as long as I stay aligned with Source, then all of the prosperity or whatever it is that I need will show up for me. That's how it works for me.